Hello Wokingham voters, as you know I'm standing as a parliamentary candidate, and being someone who works and has a young family, I don't have a team of people answering my questions for me, and so I don't have someone who's going to send you a letter on members of parliament headed paper every time you ask a question. I have to do all this myself, so to save time I do a little video trying to get the point across as best I can. So I have a tweet from Helen saying, will you pledge support for the 3 principles underpinning Trans Manifesto? If you go to transmanifesto.org.uk, so if I head over to transmanifesto.org.uk, it's basically about the transgender community, and it's got 3 underlining principles that they would like politicians or candidates, whatever, to sign up to. So, regard trans individuals as equal citizens with equal rights. Well, I wasn't aware that they didn't have that. Interesting point, but as a liberal, my version of liberal is you can do what you want as long as it doesn't have a negative impact on somebody else, and that doesn't mean them being offended. Then you can do what you want, really. My only dilemma is that, as you know, my campaign is based on 20 other people saying what I'm going to put on my list of things to do. I can't see reasonable human beings not adding or putting these things on my list, and I think these things would end up on my... I don't think these things would end up on my policy list because they're not policies, but they could end up on my personal commitment list. So should a policy come up that limits or pushes in favour of one of these, then I'll either be obliged to support it or I'll be obliged to seek counsel with members of the public. But anyway, I'll read through the list. Regard trans individuals as equal citizens with equal rights. Okay. Empower trans individuals to be authorities on all aspects of their own lives, and encourage diverse, representative, realistic and positive portrayals of trans individuals. Now, so I can't really see any problems with these as long as you understand the ifs and buts around each part of the wording. So, for example, some people don't understand liberalism. They think that means that people can go and thieve, people can go and do things that make other people's lives worse. It's a bit like the Conservatives' attitude, and my attitude too, to the idea of somebody who's has an attitude that they shouldn't have to work for what they have. Somebody who has a get everything for free kind of attitude. I would argue there's 2 of those types of people. There's the people at the bottom end, and then there's the inherited wealth of the top end who just they get born with an income of 20, 30 million pounds a year worth of property incomes just coming in. They don't have to lift a finger for it, and they never pay tax on it because they're non-doms. So yeah, there's 2 loads of entitlement, and I don't know which one's bigger than the other. I suspect we're moving to the realms of the top notch being the bigger sponges, but that's why I went from being a Tory to someone being actively against tax evasion. But where it comes down to that kind of impact, does it have an effect? So the wording here is quite careful. Empower trans individuals to be authorities on all aspects of their own lives. Now, I can agree to that, because I know in the back of my mind what I'm saying is as long as it only relates to their own lives. So now we could end up in some kind of semantic level. Are we going to have men wandering around schools dressed as women? I don't know how I feel about that. I actually don't mind, to be honest. I think children are just blasé about everything. I think, for example, it makes no sense to me whatsoever why men are generally attracted to women only. They get on very well with men, they hang out with men. Why is it that that ability to procreate is required to be in what one considers a loving relationship? I am straight. But it makes no logical sense to me why I should be straight. I just am. And so I can, this is a bit different because now I'm talking about transdressing, transgender, I guess. So those trans people, I'm not sure if we're talking about people who like to dress differently or people who are actually going through the process of changing gender. Yeah, but yeah, as long as they're not having a negative impact on somebody else's life, then that's fine. And somebody else's negative impact can't be just only in their own mind. I only know of 2 cases of children who were brought up by, in both cases actually, lesbian couples. But in either instance, neither one of them ended up being, one was a girl, she wasn't ending up lesbian, and the other one was a bloke, and he ended up being as he is. So, but if someone feels an inner need to put on the makeup and a dress that shows off their hips and assume a female form, and I don't know why they would want to do that, but if they do feel that inner need, then that's fine by me. And so it should be fine by everyone. It shouldn't be fine by anyone to have somebody else say, no, you can't dress like that. That's where you've got somebody who is imposing on somebody else's freedom. The freedom isn't yours to be imposed on for being insulted. You're imposing on somebody else's freedom to do something that shouldn't affect you. You don't have the freedom not to be insulted. So, I personally would love it if working would allow me to add this to my list of personal commitments. Regard trans individuals as equal citizens with equal rights, empower trans individuals to be authorities on all aspects of their own lives, and encourage diverse, representative, realistic and positive portrayals of trans individuals. Now this is an interesting point here, because this is the only thing that I would say, funny enough, I find a little bit conflictive, because I'm all about honesty. So diverse, yes. Representative, yes. Realistic, yes. And positive. So I would argue that we should put both negative and positive on that list to encourage honest representation, including the extremes. That would be my only thing. So I'd hope Wokingham would be willing to say that manifesto. Pretty much it is, but I would say honest, including extremes, but never out of context. So if you're going to show one extreme, you're going to show the other extreme. But showing positive and not negative, not that I can think of a negative actually. I'm trying to think of a negative scenario where let's say for example, the thing that people worry about, a child is confused by having someone who is transgender dressing like a woman one day or being a man the next day or something like that. And do you know what? Children take these things in their stride. If you've got young children, they say, why are they doing that? They go, oh, and I don't believe that being transgender is something that you learn to want to do. I think it's built inside. So there's nothing to worry about. It's just another thing for children to go, oh, I don't have to feel funny about that. So I've got no problem doing the positive portrayals, but if there was a negative take, which I can't think of one at the moment, then I think that would be only fair to push that out too, and to be honest about it. So although I can't think of a negative, I would like them to say honest and balanced would be my preferred. So, thank you.